everyone, I'm Megan Wilson, artist and organizer with Clarion Alley Mural Project. Welcome to Wall in Response, a project featuring 16 poets responding to the social, political, and racial justice narratives of 4 murals on Clarion Alley, co-curated by myself and poet Maw Shein Win. Participants include poets Heather Bourbeau, Eileen Casanetto, Tongo Ison Martin, and Chris Straffolino responding to the mural Justice for Luis D. Gongora Pat by Marina Perez Wong and Elaine Chu, working with the Gongora Pat family and justiceforluis.org. Poets Carla Brundage, Jennifer Hasegawa, Tarita Mikkel, and Kim Shuck responding to the work What We Want by Emery Douglas, remixed by David Petrelli, Kuba, and Mace. Poets Celeste Chan, M.K. Chavez, Paul Corman-Roberts, and Tim Xonnelly responding to the mural Affordable Housing, Vivienda Asequible by the SF Print Collective, working with the Western Regional Advocacy Project, RAP, and poets Youssef Alaoui, Jason Bayani, Jenny Lim, and Michael War, responding to the Arab Liberation mural by Art Forces, the Arab Resource Organizing Center, AROC, and Arab Youth Organizing, AYO. Wall in Response is made possible with the generous support of the San Francisco Arts Commission and the Zellerbach Family Foundation. Thank you for believing in our work. Selecting the murals for Wall in Response, I reflected on Clarion Alley Mural Project's role in the community over the past decade in response to the hypergentrification that has plagued the San Francisco Bay Area. The cultural shift has meant an epidemic of evictions, a significant decrease in our Black and Latinx communities, devastating income inequality, an overwhelming number of people who are unhoused, and a disturbing increase in police violence and fatal shootings of citizens by police. In response to these impacts of hypergentrification in the Bay Area and throughout the world, CAMP made the decision to prioritize projects that give voice to local and global narratives in support of social, economic, political, racial, and environmental justice. The 4 murals selected for Wall in Response exemplify successful collaborations between artists and larger organizing forces that represent this collective effort. Based on the walls selected, my co-curator, Maw Shein Win, invited Bay Area poets whose practices include social and political engagement to respond to the power of resistance reflected in these works. Thank you for joining us. Stay safe. Affordable Housing, Vivienda Asequible, completed in 2016 by the SF Print Collective, working with the Western Regional Advocacy Project, RAP, represents people working together against the structures of oppression to become a powerful force of nurturance, peace, and justice. The mural speaks to RAP's critical work to expose and eliminate the root causes of homelessness and poverty, empower communities to demand protection of civil and human rights, and advocate for restoring federal funding for affordable housing.
4 Bay Area poets, Celeste Chan, M.K. Chavez, Paul Corman-Roberts, and Tim Xonnelly read poems in response to the mural Affordable Housing, Vivienda Asequible by the San Francisco Print Collective, working with the Western Regional Advocacy Project, RAP. Their practice and work speak to social and political community engagement, and their poems honor the message of this powerful mural. Celeste Chan is a writer and filmmaker, schooled by do-it-yourself culture and immigrant parents from Malaysia and the Bronx. She launched her creative work in San Francisco in 2004. She founded and directed Queer Rebels, a queer and trans people of color arts project, created and curated experimental films, joined Foglifter Literary Journal as an editor and board member, and toured with legendary feminist roadshow Sister Spit. Her writing can be found in Ada, Away, Citron Review, Cream City Review's Genre Queer Folio, Feminist Wire, Gertrude-Blog, The Rumpus, and elsewhere. In her prose poem, The Roar, Celeste writes, "We began to murmur, to moan, to chant. House keys, not handcuffs," we repeated, roaring, marching forward.
We ran, hitchhiked, boarded buses, drove. We stumbled from apartments filled with carbon monoxide, flagged down the fire department. We pitched tarp between shopping carts on Folsom Street, packed up before DPW hosed the streets at 6 a.m. We curled inside cars, pulled sleeping bags over our eyes, shielded ourselves from the street lamps. We sprawled across friends' couches, sleeping only a few hours after everyone left. Then we watched the Mission Mall blaze. Flames crackled and singed, sieged the sky. Sirens. 1, 2, 3 alarms. Firefighters raced up ladders, spewed water for hours while the sky burned orange, smoke flaring. 60 homes destroyed. We barely slept, returned to the gutted lot marked for new construction as cranes dotted the horizon. Some of us were queer teens, carrying home in our backpacks, manic panic dripping through our hair. Some of us middle-aged, trans, veterans, discharged from SF General, chased from the Tenderloin. Some of us Mexican migrant moms, Chinese grandmas. Some of us left, some of us quiet. Some of us rummaged the trash for bottles. Some of us housed, always. Some of us burned out of our buildings. Many of us stayed. Riot police descended, faces sheathed in shields, 50 plastic cuffs jostling by their waistbands as they raised their batons. We shouted, pounded the mural, called to the woman on the wall. She did not leap 50 feet in the air. We began to murmur, to moan, to chant. House keys, not handcuffs, we repeated, roaring, marching forward.
Paul Corman-Roberts' second full-length collection, Bone Moon Palace, will be released by Nomadic Press. Previous collections include his full-length debut, The Abo Munats Are Coming to Piss on Your Lawn, as well as 3 chapbook collections. A 3-time Pushcart and Best of Web nominee, he currently teaches workshops for the Older Writers Lab in conjunction with the San Francisco Public Library, as well as the San Francisco Creative Writing Institute. In his poem, Lamp Lifted by Golden Gate, Corman-Roberts writes, "You know my face better by another name, mother of exiles. Imprisoned lightning has left home burned, scarred, and tougher than leather epidermis fracked to the edge of a knowing hem."
Lamp Lifted by Golden Gate. 1. Here now see our sun-bleached canyon set entirely inside sun-washed riverbeds of our landscape, blocking a 14-hill view from the windows of your inverted mineshaft designs to extract monthly subscriptions to a view of a dark, gorgeous myth we invent for a market that needed inventing for the sake of repurposing pre-wasted inventory. 2. You know my face better by another name. Mother of exiles. Imprisoned lightning has left home burned, scarred, and tougher than leather epidermis, fracked to the edge of a knowing hem, where you're evicted, you're separated, families gather between the toes of a kingdom of handcuffs, exchanged for a cachet of house keys. 3. If my garments seem familiar, perhaps it's because you still hold their receipts in your loopholes in my dignity, despite your perch from the swiveling downtown cranes where you speculate, remain blind to a canvas just beyond your 35th floor ledger, where each segment connects the dots in a way that makes sense to everyone but you. 4. Here among your movable, blossoming gardens of formica reinforcements, here is where I gather into my hem the blood you have squeezed from your less movable glass and dour concrete installations. Here, your bled product becomes the continuous thread allowing me to protect my children. 5. If I told you it would end well, you wouldn't believe in that either. Your idea of a destiny and my fact of a consequence never learned to play nice politics with each other in the sandbox of civic mutualism, refusing trust, sustaining your fear of being leveraged by the other, which you, of all peoples, should understand. There is a steep price to be paid for. This poem is called American Correspondence, and it begins with an epigraph from 80s pop star Kim Wilde. And it goes like this. This is how the epigraph goes. Outside, a new day is dawning. Outside suburbia sprawling. Everywhere I don't want to go, baby. New York to East California, there's a new wave coming. I warn you, we're the kids of America. Dear CEOs and board presidents, dear marketers and consultants, dear Republicans, dear Democrats, dear courts, dear Congress, dear fake president. Dear NRA, dear evangelicals, dear MAGAs and dear nationalists, dear TERFs, dear binaries, and dear incels. Dear Hollywood, dear hipsters, dear goopsters, and dear Gwyneth. Dear Kardashians, dear Coldplay, dear Decemberists, Fleet Foxes, dear Lumberjack Bros, and dear Hoof. Don't you fret, and don't you shake. Don't you stress, and don't be blue. Don't lift a finger, 'cause the future don't look nothing like you. Dear I can. Baby, you just can't anymore. Baby, you didn't have to turn out this ugly. If you die an hour from now, your life has been 90% wealthier than the rest of the lives slated for this obscure experiment. But fetishizing that other 10% getting over on you is what makes you such a beautiful American. I can look you in the eye and say, yes, you have that fire. But I need you to put your hand inside me like a well-worn glove and tell me the same. Tell me I belong in this Rube Goldberg contraption of a series of spiral orbits, around another series of spiral orbits, around another series of spiral orbits, around an obit. So that when one of us moves through the veil also moves through us. And this causes some worry when the mob cries out, "Without hyperbole, we are nothing!" to a call and response that fires back, "The tone police are the only police we need." Very well then. As below, so above. But don't be surprised at the fear of love in this kind of world. Once upon a yesteryear, I might have schadenfreudet you and said, "Told ya so!" But what does that gain anyone besides an acrid aftertaste in the tonsils? Is that all you can afford? Pretty smug for a white thug. This secular world sustains an industry of self-congratulatory award programs for self-identified superheroes who refuse to wear masks, for those whom the word compromise triggers anxiety attacks, for those who refuse to humble themselves beneath the firmament, because that's what it means to get on one's knees and admit their powerlessness in the face of an unknowable universe. And I will close with one more, and this is... And this is for Bob Kaufman. This is called You Will Always Have Poetry. If you can find a way to escape the people who don't have poetry, the people who carry the shackles, the people who shackle your body, the people who monetize your body, the people whose God tells them to shackle and monetize your body, the people whose God tells them it's okay to shackle and monetize your body because you're no better than an animal, the people whose God assures them you're worse than an animal. If you can find a way to escape, to get beyond the walls, if we can find the way to get over, under, through the cages set by the people who don't have poetry, if you can just make it down to that next river valley, I promise you there is another America. If you can just get down to the next river, you will find an underground railroad America. You will find a strong, outstretched hand of a beautiful woman named Harriet America, pulling you into a boat America, pulling you into a car America, pulling you to sanctuary America. Do it. Take that dark, weathered hand. I'm not saying it will be easy or obvious. I will always advise you need to watch your back because nothing is easy in this land. But if you can get there down by the shore, you will find poetry. You will find the people who will not silence you, who will ask if you need something, who are kind, who will listen, who will feed you and shelter you and try to get you back to the family that you have lost. You will have poetry, and no one will ever be able to take that away.
M.K. Chavez is a Black Latinx writer and educator. Her work has appeared in many literary journals, including the Academy of Poets Poem a Day series. She is the author of Mothermorphosis and Dear Animal on Nomadic Press, and several chapbooks. Chavez curates the reading series Lyrics and Dirges and is co-director of the Berkeley Poetry Festival. She has been a visiting instructor at Stanford University, San Francisco State University, and Mills College. She is a recipient of the Alameda County Arts Leadership Award, the Penn Oakland Josephine Miles Award, and fellowships at Hedgebrook, Caldera, Canto Mundo, and Vona. MK begins her poem, The Living Place, with, "In the thick gloss of the vision, a revolution appears."
The living place. In the thick gloss of the vision, a revolution appears. Buildings from scratch and strength of arm. To center the wings in the cityscape of dreams is to invite the scatterings of light to illuminate the negative space between skyscrapers. It is normal to want daylight and the shine of keys, a front door, and a future. Brittle stars for Yahaira Salvatierra. Starfish can break into pieces and grow themselves back. I've grown tired of resilience, Zoom rooms, and I miss every face in the world. FaceTime friend says she's always known about food deserts, and does every child in the world have a Chromebook? What will happen, she asks. The sadness in her face is my grief and love, the part of me that breaks. I watch nature documentaries and horror films. I research starfish. Not all are beloved. Some are considered invasive. Starfish body walls are honeycombed. Starfish have names like crown of thorns and are sensitive to light and touch. I learned that in myth, starfish is Stella Maris, Virgin Mary, Star of the Sea, and Isis, Egyptian goddess who heals the sick. When a starfish breaks, it is not weakness. Sometimes they let go of part of themselves in defense. Our terrible times, starfish and horror films, I learn that we survive. Incantation for future beings. It wasn't the election, the pandemic, or racial violence. We had reached an end. We were consuming ourselves whole and then cast from the destroyed building to search for the key. We were semi-divine, a type of hybridity. Some might say a monstrosity. We were full of impulse when we entered the chrysalis. Key. The terrible thing had already happened. Key. Every wound had a name. Key. We looked into the abyss and we were the darkness. It wasn't the death, one after the other, one after the other, or the truth of it or the lie of it. We were never alone in the pure and oval place. Some fought the disintegration. Some slept. Key. We were clear wing and golden. Key. At one time we believed the venom was the medicine. Key. We are the familiar we have been fearing. It wasn't red skies, floods, earthquakes, or the physical impossibility of a breaching shark. The mystery was in how milky-eyed we had become, how we lost sight of the process, unable to see that everything comes to an end and a beginning. Key. Our umbilici coiled together into eternity. Key. The future is our past our future, and our future is now. Key. In our finest moment, we are Ouroboros. It wasn't Isayan playing the piano in a destroyed building, the concert of anarchy, or the shortages of masks, gloves, and toilet paper. What we found was that we were still ourselves, beyond wisdom and evil, which is to say that we are tutelary beings, a lotus blooming on top of our heads. Key. The opening of the self is eternal. Key. The ego slain in the process of reincarnation and our wings wet. he. We are forever instar and golden. It was the uprising. It was the end, and it was the beginning. We are the vision serpent of our times. We are furious and infernal, spirits of winding roots and nerves. Look at our hands, red with rebirth. We traveled the gateway and waited, found that all we have is time. We have been and are becoming the universe.
Tim Xonnelly has lived and worked in downtown Berkeley since 1991. He taught disabled adults in a community-based program through ARC. Since 2000, he's worked as a paraeducator in the Berkeley Unified School District, specializing with students severely affected by autism. He served as the president of the Classified Union from 2006 to 2008. His chapbooks include Velcro Heart, A Season in Bed, and I Skip the Long Ones Too. His poems are featured in the anthologies Crossstrokes, Poetry Between Los Angeles and San Francisco, and 1001 Nights, 20 Years of Redondo Poets at Coffee Cartel. In Xonnelly's poem House Key, he writes, "When I dream of Mama, she's in golden light, handing me a key. I honestly don't know if she's offering a home in this world or the next."
House key. My hands are warming up now, but I've got pins and needles. Never used to get cold at all. From time I was a kid, slept with all the windows open, shorts in winter. Now with my teeth and my knees and my seizures and diarrhea, none of that really shocking if you've ever slept rough. With just a key to a door to a bed that is mine, I'd have a footing to face problems, a fighting chance. Mama tried to help me. She did. I pray, thank God, she can't see what I've come to. When I dream of Mama, she's in golden light, handing me a key. I honestly don't know if she's offering a home in this world or the next. The longer I'm out here, the more I wonder if even death won't have me. This is the bluebird of ambivalence. Oat milk in my coffee, told a tale on you, COVID. So covert, unconvivial. Scan the street I've loved 25 years from my improvised roof deck. So bird happy and green. Homo sapiens anxious and masked. Umber, amber, terracotta verticals of varsity towers. 2 bedrooms, 2 bath, $5,000 a month. This is Tweaked Dawn. Behind these curtains is a secret experiment. Metallic breath, metallic taste, metallic smell. Makes him suspect he's a robot. A sickly orange light inside. Outlines curtains outside against the sun's pearly arrival. Sidewalk moving in jerks. This hour of the morning makes him wonder, are we robots? Secret experiment. Just try and sleep. Give yourself a break, buddy. Lie down. And this was the poem of the day at the San Francisco Public Library a few days ago, Frank's Nightmare. When you dream, and you dream of being in your bed, in your room, Your body knows this part is true. You are in bed, dreaming you are in bed. This part is accurate. Desk by the window, an empty glass. So when the window opens and an evil elf in a spacesuit, a body is likely to leap awake, making a vocal you cannot approximate, knocking stuff over. Your roommate is now also jumped awake, clutching a blanket to his middle. Other hand, the heaviest thing he could grab, runs in to see nobody is getting killed. An evil elf walked in your room, your own safe room. Walked in calm as you please, as if an evil elf had business here. Heart galloping in your jugular. You must now tell your roommate from your place on the floor with debris. Go to sleep, put the clock down. It was nothing, just a stupid dream.
This is Clarion Alley is an extremely popular spot for people to come and visit and see the murals. So one of the great things about being in Clarion Alley with this mural is that its visible presence in the city. And when we painted this mural offsite and brought it here to put in place, but we did a lot of actions, printing live with posters during the time that the mural was first put in place here, and as a result, we got a lot of interaction with people, so we could hand out posters that were about homelessness to people and talk to people from all around the world who were interested in, like, what's going on in San Francisco, acknowledging that there are people in San Francisco who actually think that homelessness is an issue that needs to be addressed without police presence in every issue of addressing homelessness. So what we wanted to do with this mural was to make a mural that showed both the problems and a kind of response to it, so a positive and a negative image. So the central figure is this idea of an embodiment of the energy of people to create something good. So a flowing of people out of these institutions represented by all these architecture on my left side, all this architecture of oppression with banks and prisons representing all the different institutional forces that create homelessness, and people being disempowered, being thrown out of these institutions, but coming together in the form of this big figure. And how to represent a positive future. One aspect of presenting a positive future is to build a better, more equitable city. So the right side of the mural represents the positive side. So people coming together in protest to create something more positive for the community. And it's kind of like a New Deal idea of, you create by building. And we build a new city together through not just like government programs, but also the power of the people represented by that large figure. So part of working on a project like this is to work with the organization, not just to have a group of artists that want to do whatever they want to do. San Francisco Print Collective started out with this idea. They started in the first .com boom in early 2000s, and so their idea was to work with, especially on issues of gentrification, and they came together to work with activists, and in many cases to train activists to be able to make their own work. So we followed in that tradition that Print Collective started, and working with RAP, hearing feedback. So we did mock-ups of our ideas. We sent them to RAP, and Paul Bowden would facilitate discussions with the rest of the members of the group, which is a national organization and get feedback about what works and what doesn't work. And so that was our goal. In the end, we photographed it and did a poster that was used by groups around the country that are part of RAP. So the central image here of the dove with the hands breaking the chain is, and actually the cops all lined up here with things written on their back. This is all coming from another artist who worked a lot with RAP named Ronnie Goodman. So his image of the hands breaking the chains and the bird, which representing freedom. So Ronnie, I met at San Quentin when he was a artist in the program at San Quentin, and once he got out of prison, he started making artwork for RAP and different causes. His first image was using these cops as this image to represent the oppression of the state. And so we've incorporated his work into this, as well as some of the posters designed by the Print Collective, especially the slogan, "House Keys, Not Handcuffs," which has become sort of the key slogan for RAP. But Ronnie Goodman passed away this last August on the street, a couple blocks from here. So this kind of stands as a memorial to him as well.
RAP uses artwork as an organizing tool. It sends a message. And when you're in a bunch of different cities, several different states, you want to unify what it is people are saying. And so the artist is an organizer. It's not a gift that they do for us. It's not charity. Fuck charity. This is about building power and building strength. And the process of creating the artwork, the process of creating this mural, but every piece of artwork we do, it's the organizers and the artists together, crafting the message and coming up with the images that reflect that message. Because you see these posters in Seattle, you see them in LA, you see them in New York, you see them in Philadelphia, you see them in Denver, and it's the same images and it's the same message. And people get the feeling and the reality that there's a revolution going on. We may still be at the point where we're getting our fucking asses kicked every day, but we're fighting like hell. And this speaks to our fight, to our struggle, to what we're putting out there in the world. And it does it in a way that people aren't going to put our reports and our fact sheets on their walls. Like, that's just boring. But they will put vibrant, beautiful artwork on their walls. And that's the key, is creating messaging tools that people want to see. Not that they tolerate, not that they, oh, well, I like rap, so therefore I'll get a poster. People love it. And there's an image that we just came up with. If everyone can't afford the rent, they shouldn't fucking take our tent. People that live in tents love that image. They wear those t-shirts. They put those posters up because it speaks to what they're experiencing. It says something. And artwork that doesn't have a message is just pretty. But artwork that has a message is powerful. So we were having a face-to-face meeting a couple of years ago, because I'm old, I don't remember exactly, but it was a while ago. And we came here and we hung out in this alley and we were looking at this space and we were talking about what do we want to put there? What do we want it to say? And you could not ignore the fact that the freaking cop shop is right across the street. And we wanted the cops to see our shit. And it was important to us that we create an image that shows our power, that shows the criminalization of our community and shows us fighting back against that criminalization. And we wanted the cops to have to look at it every freaking day when they come and go from their cop shop.